Tonight we have as a guest in the studio a man of whom Time magazine once wrote, "He is Hercules struggling through the 12 labours. He is Jason chasing the golden fleece. He is Galahad, Cyrano, D'Artagnan. When he scowls, strong men shudder, and when he smiles, women swoon. The mysteries of the universe are his toys. He rattles the thunder, and he looses the lightning." Well, he's loosed a lot of lightning in his day, and he's going to loose some more of it tomorrow night in Croke Park. There's no man in the world, I think, whose name is more synonymous with sport today. He says he's the greatest, and maybe he is. I'm certainly not going to argue with him about that. And he says he's the prettiest. Ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome, please, Muhammad Ali. Well, do you think he is the prettiest?
No. I didn't say that. I don't know how that got out.
I wonder. Muhammad, you certainly look fit.
Thank you.
Have you been training very hard?
Yes, I've been working constantly now since my last fight with Joe Frazier, fighting every other month or two. And I just boxed Jerry Quarry, a top-notch fighter. I was in good shape for him. I fought him the first time. He was troubled, but the second time, a lot of the rust was off of him. And the reason he was troubled the first time was because that was my first fight in a 4-year layoff.
All right.
And so I'm ready now. I'm still active. And just needed to wipe a little dust off of me since the Quarry fight. I sat down a few days to rest, and I'm ready now.
You're doing a lot of fighting.
Well, yes, I think the boxing game should stay alive. I think every contender should get a shot at the title. The new champ, Joe Frazier, is not doing nothing, fighting once every 7 months, and fighting people that you could beat. And you can't fight, so...
You're so right.
I have to keep the game alive because I'm the true champion.
How do you feel about the fight with Al Blue Lewis?
Well, I'm fighting Lewis for one reason, mainly because Frazier won't fight him. George Fulmer, top-notch fighter, won't fight him. Jerry Quarry wouldn't fight him. And with most boxers and managers, this is just a business, and they figure, well, they got a top contender, and he's barely on top, and they don't want to take a chance and lose unless they're paid great. And top-notch fighters fighting Blue Lewis can't receive the proper pay because he's not famous, but yet he's got a chance of beating them, and they have nothing to gain but everything to lose. So I'm fighting him because everybody else is ducking him, and he is a good fighter. Plus, it'll be kind of hard to bring a top-notch, high-ranking fighter here because the price couldn't be put up. So
what sort of a chance does he have with you?
2 chances.
What are they?
Slim and none.
I asked for that one. Angelo Dundee has just handed me a piece of paper to say that you hope to go to fight in Tehran in about 3 weeks' time.
Iran and Tehran, yes, we're going to just exhibition, government invitation, and we're working on it now.
So your next big fight, really, I suppose, is with Patterson.
Floyd Patterson, right, the rabbit.
A rabbit?
I call him the rabbit.
Why is that?
Oh, the way he fights. And, he calls me Clay, and the name is now Muhammad Ali. He still insists on Clay, so I'll call him the rabbit. Plus, I'm going to fight the rabbit in the garden. Madison
Square Garden, of course. You then go on to fight Frazier, I gather.
Yes, if he comes out of hiding. He bought a plantation down in South Carolina, some chicken plantation. I know he's a slave, but he don't have to buy plantations. But
what do you really feel about him?
Well, he's a good slugger. He's not scientific. He's rough. Physically, I know I beat him. I won 9 rounds. He's already ugly, and I beat him so bad that night. I beat him so bad, and he was so ugly after that fight, his face should have been donated to the Bureau of Wildlife.
You know, he toured here with a show.
I heard he flopped like he do everywhere else. He's got a singing group called the Knockouts, and he thought because they gave him my title, he could go everywhere and draw people and get rich. And I understand he draws 80 people or maybe 1,000 people in the 20,000-seat arena. In London, in a 4,000-seat arena, he drew 12 people.
Well, he
had the nerve to keep on with the show.
He did a little better here. He got 87 at one, actually, and I think 1,041 at his.
And I know I can beat him singing, but I don't call myself a singer. I can come here and fill every place because the people know who the real champion is.
But you have been a singer, too. I mean, you had a show called Buck White, didn't you?
Yes, I was in a play called Big Time Buck White, and black militant play of problems that we're having in America. The play was a flop, but I was a hit. The play lasted 6 days, but the worst critics, my part was a hit. I want to get that straight.
Why is it, do you think, that you draw the crowds? Of all the sportsmen in the world, that you are a great crowd drawer? Mainly personality's got a lot to do with it. A personality, like a salesman's business, depends entirely on his personality. If he's rude and unsympathetic, and then the buyer will hope that he goes away and never come back. But very often, if the salesman is good, he can make a person buy when they don't even intend to. Same with a doctor. He might be the best of doctors. He might have many patients and give them all the medicine he wants. But if his personality is not really right, then his medicine won't make him feel that good. His personality make him feel worse. But very often, a wise doctor can cure a person with word of mouth alone because they realize power of mind is needed. And a lawyer can dishearten a client on one visit if he don't have a personality of victory. Like Joe Frazier, for an example. He's the champion, they say. Number one, he don't have the personality. He can't talk. Very few boxers can get on this show and match wits with wise men like yourself. Mm-hmm. And wits is all I want to match with you.
And very few fighters, if you take the camera on close up, you see my nose and my face. I'm not ugly. I'm not ugly like most fighters. They have noses like that, and their ears are like that. How you feel, champ? I'm a pretty fighter. And I can, I have a personality. I know how to talk to the wine heads. I have a talk for your great Mr. Lynch here in the Parliament House, and I knew how to talk to men like you with less intelligence than myself. And no, I was only joking. Just listen to the people laugh. Just listen to the people laugh. Just listen to them laugh. Very few comedians can do this, and that's their job. So like I'm saying, it's personality that attracts. I mean, people of all religions, like in America, I stand up for black people, and regardless to what it costs me, I speak out for what I believe. Like you got people in Ireland fighting for what they believe. I represent this. Also, the draft was something out of my religion teach against, and this made me popular with many people. Then you got the white racists who believe in separation, such as I believe one day the black people in America must go to self, clean up self, help self, do for self. I recognize them. Then you got all the Muslims in Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Syria, Lebanon, India, all throughout Kuwait, Abu Dhabi, all throughout Libya. They all recognize me because of the name Muhammad Ali. And yet all of this up, all I represent in my confidence. I am the greatest. I cannot lose. I'm pretty. And every man believes he's the greatest. Every man would like to be the greatest. Many want to say this, but they fear it. And they see this in myself, and some hate me for it, and some love me for it. So add it all up, and we have a large crowd. Boy, Joe Frazier's ugly, he's flat-footed, he can't talk, he can't sing, he can't fight, and no personality. No, he's a slugger, a street fighter.
Why do you think...
Joe Frazier's not, don't get me wrong, Joe Frazier's good with his stuff, he's not skillful. Joe Frazier's known for taking a lot of punches. He's not like Floyd Patterson, or say Sugar Ray Robinson, or Joe Louis, or say Jack Johnson, Jack Dempsey. These are great scientific boxers. See, Joe Frazier will take 5 punches to hit you once. So
why do you think he beat you, Muhammad, then, the last time?
Well, the reason that he got the decision, if you looked at my face and his face after the fight, both eyes were closed, his nose was blood, his lips was cut, his head was swollen, and he spent 1 month in the hospital. Did you all hear it?
Yeah, surely.
He spent 30 days of intensive care No phone calls and no visitors. And that's a terrible beating when you have to stay rest for 30 days. But he got the decision. But I'm not complaining. Next time I'll get him. I played too much with him. And plus, I found at the time I was bucking the draft system. I didn't go to the service. And I found out the 3 of the judges was on the local draft board. That's why I lost it.
We'll come back to that if we can in just a moment. But could we sort of go right to the beginning of your career? What made you take up boxing as a child in Louisville?
Well, at 12 years old, someone stole my bicycle. I went to a home show where they display cars and refrigerators and household utensils and everything. And I went there and left my bicycle outside and came out. It was a drizzling rain that night, the Saturday evening, about 9 o'clock. The bicycle was gone. I just got it for Christmas. Somebody asked me, I asked whether it was the nearest police officer. And they said in the basement, the same building that I just came out. And a fellow named Joe Martin was training amateur boxers in a room about this size. And he asked me to take out an application and learn how to fight so I can beat the fella up in joking fashion who stole my bicycle. So I started boxing.
This led you on eventually to the Olympics. Was this your goal as a child and as a young man? Did you see that the best thing you could ever do was to be an Olympic champion?
I knew nothing about Olympics when I started, nothing. I just boxed just to get on the local television show called Tomorrow's Champions. Every week at Saturdays in Louisville, Kentucky, we have a show called Tomorrow's Champions. And you've heard of the Kentucky Derby.
Sure.
That's where they have the races where I lived. I lived across the street from where they have the race every year. Anyway, I just wanted to get on local television, and I found out how good I was, and I kept on fighting. People say I'm conceited, I talk too much, but they must have pity on me. It's hard to be humble when you're as great as I am. And I won the Golden Gloves, the National AAU, and the Olympics. And then after the Olympics, I had all the gold medals, but no money. So I turned professional.
You told a story on one occasion about coming back from the Olympics with the medal to your own hometown. Did this make you a very big man in your own hometown? Did it completely change your life?
Well, you know, made me popular for a few days, but I wanted to do something good with it. So I went downtown. At the time, black people was marching to eat in the white restaurants, and they wanted rights to go where they wanted to. And so I said, I'll take this medal and I'll go downtown and I'll sit down in a restaurant. I got them on the spot now, and then I'll order something to eat. And I went down and I had my medal on, and the lady was looking, and I said, I'd like a cheeseburger. She said, we don't serve Negroes. I said, I don't eat them either, just give me a cheeseburger.
How was it, Muhammad, anyway, to be a Negro boy in the South?
We say black now.
All right, black.
I know what you're talking about.
All right. Is it not the same thing?
What? No, Negro. We are taught that all people are named after country. Chinese are named after China. Cubans are named after Cuba. Irish people are named after Ireland. Indonesians named after Indonesia. Japanese are named after Japan. Australians are named after Australia. But there's no country named Negroes.
All right, then let me...
You understand?
I understand.
You're not as dumb as you look.
Let me rephrase. Do I look that dumb?
No, I'm joking.
What I really mean is, did you feel that you were deprived, that you and your family and other blacks were second-class citizens?
Did we feel it? We knew it. Not only second class, but about add up all the nationalities you have on earth, and then they come first. Like right now, you can come to my town, and you're more free in America than I am. Even Chinese, the Japanese, that the black people helped America to fight, or even the Germans. A day after the war in Vietnam, the Viet Cong will be more of a citizen than the American Negroes. So, like, we might be the 50th class citizens, 60th class, if you really break it down. If we was just second class, it'd be all right.
This is something you feel very strongly about?
Strongly. I know it's the truth. I live right there every day.
What attracted you then to Islam in the first instance?
The Muslim religion?
Yes.
It's the true teachings of Elijah Muhammad right there in America, and the power structure, nobody will challenge him. And the history of ourselves, the history of our true religion, our nationality, our names, See, we don't have our names, you know. I know how proud you all are, proud of your names. See, Chinese have names like Chang Chong, Lu Qian. This is Islamic teachings. Russians have names like Kosygin or Khrushchev. You have names like O'Connor or Grady or Kennedy. And Africans had names like Lumumba, Nkrumah. And Jews got names like Weinstein and Goldberg. And Italians got names like Dundee and Benvenuti and Marciano. But we have names like Grady and Clay and Hawkins and Smith and Jones and Johnson, but we are black.
These are the slave names.
Yeah,
this is
when I heard this, I knew it was the truth. It's history. So Muhammad Ali is a beautiful black name of our ancestors. So when I heard this, I just had to walk out of the church and Christianity because they never taught us our true knowledge. Then they told me how we were brainwashed in America. We see Jesus, he's white with blonde hair and blue eyes. We see the Lord's Supper, all white people. We see the angels in heaven, all white people. And we look at Miss Universe, a white woman, Miss America, a white woman, Miss World, a white woman. Even Tarzan, the king of the jungles in Africa, he was white.